2. Folks, welcome back to So Bad It's Good, presented by Betches Media. Listen, I'm in Los Angeles right now, and obviously times are really tough, and we need a show like The Traitors on Peacock now more than ever. The first 3 episodes are out right now, and unfortunately this is a spoiler, but one of my favorite people on reality TV has been banished from the castle. We know him from Bachelor Nation, but he is also a radio host, a podcast host, and also our favorite bartender in Bachelor Nation. He is the one and only Wells Adams. Wells, welcome to the show.
No, I thought you were going to say Dorinda, that you were sad to do.
No. Well, by the way, I am sad about Dorinda, and I want to point out to the audience, there's a great 10-minute exit interview with you and Dorinda that Peacock released, which I thought was fantastic. But what you said in that interview that you thought you would be the first to go home, were you being realistic?
No, I don't. Okay, so anyone who knows me from the radio work I've done, from TV, from podcasts, like I've never been serious about anything, and I think that was the big problem, because I think that, you know, especially on Traitors, people are taking you very seriously because everyone's like looking for something.
Yes.
And so, I mean, no, I didn't think I was gonna be the first one out. I thought like. Honestly, I thought Sandoval was going to get kicked out just because he was like, you know, like America's villain. I didn't think like the, you know, friendly neighborhood bartender was going to get chopped so early, but.
Well, you were in that Pilot Pete role from last season where you're so damn likable, and you always have been, that you almost put yourself on the chopping block because you are the everyman. So it was so interesting to watch you at that first round table when Bob the drag queen, an actual traitor, brings your name up. What was your thought? Like when you first, like that's the first thing out of Bob's mouth was you. What was your reaction?
Yeah, it sucked. I hated it, dude. Because... So like backstory, I did not know that people were saying my name until about, I'd say 10 minutes before we were playing on table. I thought I was totally fine. So
you went in cool as a cucumber.
No, like about like 10 minutes before we went in,
okay.
Dylan came up to me and he's like, "Hey, I'm hearing your name." Cause like Dylan and I had like a little we were allies. And so I was like, "What?" It makes no sense because for both of like the missions that we did, like I went really hard. Like I think that if you're a traitor, you kind of like half-ass those things because you're like, I don't care about getting immunity shields, you know. But for both of those, I went like I was steering the boat on one of them, and then the other one, like they didn't really show it the way that it went down, but like I single-handedly got Wes down off out of that cage. Because I was like, I think that the Traitors are going to come get me. I didn't think like the house was against me. So I was like, this doesn't make any sense. I've been busting my butt so hard to get immunity. Why would someone who's a traitor do that? So it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And I didn't really have time to like go and, you know, like
prepare an argument
against why people were saying my name. So I didn't even have time to do that. So I just had to do it, you know, in the round table. And yeah, it was just frustrating because like I felt very blindsided by it. And the other thing is, I know it's a game, but like, you know, your whole intro of like being very likable, like I feel like I am likable. I don't think I did anything to like make people think I wasn't likable, but you know, Bob the drag queen says like, you know, you're very standoffish. And that was the most untrue thing I have ever heard. And I'll tell you why. So it doesn't make the show, but like my argument to him was like, what are you talking about? My wife was a judge on RuPaul's Drag Race. She went to high school with his like podcast, like co-host. My wife took over on Little Shop of Horrors as the Audrey character. The last person to do that was Jinx Monsoon, who was on RuPaul's Drag Race. I kept talking to him about all this stuff, and I was like, "What are you talking about? I'm trying to be your friend every single day. I've been talking to you every single day about all this stuff." And, you know, I'm a cis white male talking about RuPaul's Drag Race every single day.
I'm an ally. I'm an ally, damn it. Yeah.
Like, how can you say that I'm not, like, trying to be friendly? And I should have known at that moment that, like, you're making this up. Like this, there's no way it's true. But I realize I'm not everyone's cup of tea. But like, I was like, me getting banished second, or the second person off the show is not what hurt my feelings. What hurt my feelings was that someone said that like I was not like being likable, which I tried very hard to do that.
See, in that exit thing that I was talking about, Bob, I think, put a real target on his back in the first couple of episodes by going so hard and really having great arguments and being very verbose. But I feel like that puts a target on his back going forward. Have you watched back the episodes, and will you continue to watch the episodes as they come out? Or are you like, how dare they send me away from that castle? I will never watch again.
Yeah, I'm a little salty. I gotta be honest with you. So I don't know. Probably the latter, I suppose. I'll probably still watch it. I did make a lot of like really good friends. What's annoying to me about it is I love Dorinda. She goes first, and then honestly, my favorite person, maybe the entire world, aside from like my wife, is Ian, and she went home right after me.
Yeah, I feel Dorinda and Ian, I feel like they really took it hard. Dorinda especially, you're like, oh, this stings.
Yeah, the thing that was frustrating for me, like the reason why I got banished is because I said I just can't shut the hell up. That's just my problem. Shockingly, a radio DJ and morning show host can't stop talking. But I was like, I don't understand. Like, I think that's the dumbest move ever. And that's what gets me kind of like eventually kicked off the show, is because I had said, like, I think that it was a dumb move from the Traitors. It's like, looking back, I probably shouldn't have said that. But the truth of the matter is that we all thought Dorinda was a traitor, and we were all going to banish her the next day. So I was like, why are the Traitors... why are they murdering someone that we're going to banish the next day? Like, it made no sense.
And I think the Traitors are they're not in agreement with each other. And then you also have, Danielle, I believe, she's crying every episode. So the tears are believable, but there's only so far you can go with that strategy, where I feel like the Traitors are crumbling because of moves like getting you out, Bob. So I'm very interested to see where we go. And the saddest part of all of this, and you mentioned this, you were a DJ in Nashville Lightning 100 in 2013, and you're very like, this is your skill. But if you go on a future competition reality series, will you think differently about your approach? Will you shut up? Will you be a little salty right out of the gate?
That was my plan, was to like just go under the radar, shut up. And I tried. I think I tried. I could not do it. Like I only have one speed, and it's just me. And when I, meet up with Dorinda afterwards, she says something like, I'm just too outspoken. And I was like, that's my problem. I couldn't shut up. But I knew I was in trouble after that. After the first mission that we did, they were like, someone needs to steer the boat. Yeah, the dragon boat. And they're like, all right, we need a leader. And everyone, like, it didn't show it on the show, but like everyone was like, Wells. And I was like, oh no, I have not been under the radar at all. I've been completely like just called out that like I'm the most talkative, or one of the more talkative people, and I should be leading this boat. And I remember after that, I was like, well, it took me less than a day to like ruin my plan of like trying to be chill and not say anything.
Yeah, I mean, like, you want to be like Sam Ashghari. You want to be Britney's ex. You want to be Sierra, who's going under the radar. These people that are staying quiet in these first couple of episodes, and they have like more of a chance to like just keep going because they are remaining like quiet as a church mouse. In terms of relationships going in there, you had obviously talked about forming a relationship with Mr. Efron. Who else were you enjoying, and what was your knowledge going in of the other cast members? You obviously knew Sandoval through Scandoval and things like that. Were there people like, who are you, or did you know everybody?
Yeah, there were a couple that I had no idea. I'm still confused of who Sam is. And
I think Sam might be confused who Sam is. We don't know.
No, you don't know who's going to be there until you get there. It's kind of nice. Like, because when you get to the castle, you're like, oh, hey, nice to meet you. Like, obviously I knew who Chrishell was. I knew who Nikki was. I knew who Gabby was because of The Bachelor, even though we've never worked together. And yeah, no, I knew who Dylan was because my wife was friends with his brother, and but then like the people that I became friends with that I didn't know beforehand. One of them was the other Bob Harper. I loved that man. He
stuck up for you too.
No, I know. Here's the thing though, no one stuck up for me really at the round table. They all still were like afterwards. I remember thinking like, "Hey guys, anyone want to chime in here? You know, 'cause it's not looking real good for your boy." And then you have Tom Sandoval over here, who's like throwing so much randomness at the wall. And I remember being like, "Tom, please stop talking. No one thinks Chrishell is a traitor. You're just wasting time for me to not like for someone to like come in my defense." But anyways, it was nice to meet everybody. And also I was out of there so quickly that like I didn't have time to not like anybody.
Yeah, that's a great point. Also, what we are missing because you're not there anymore is, I will say, apart from Alan Cumming, you were one of the best dressed people that we saw, and we missed out on future outfits. And I will also compliment you for having layers, because Tom Sandoval unfortunately took one of his layers off and he pit stained all over that breakfast room. What kind of looks would we have had to look forward from you? Because I imagine you really had some good game going.
Oh man, I spent way too much money on wardrobe because I was like, I'm gonna need all these clothes. I feel bad for the stylist that I used because they were like, "We're so excited for you," and I'm like, "Well, you're only getting one look. That's all it is." No, I had a lot of good stuff. I had like it was a lot of like tweed, a lot of like plaids. I was just really trying to look. Do you want to know? Really, like what I told the stylist, like what I wanted.
Yes.
Have you ever seen either the show or the movie, The Gentleman?
Oh yeah, Netflix, right?
Yeah. It was a lot of that. Like I just wanted to look kind of like rich British royalty, which we had one of those there.
Yes,
in
Lord Ivar.
Yeah, which was amazing because I remember hanging out with him and I'm like, "So what do you do, man?" And because we were talking about the castle and he's like, we have my family has one of these. And I was like, "You guys got a castle?" And he's like, I was like, "Wow, that's cool. Like, is it an Airbnb? Like, what do you do with that?" And he's like, "Well, it's been in the family." And I remember being like, "In the what are you talking about, my guy?" And then someone was like, "He's royalty." And I was like, "Oh, totally."
Yeah.
And then I tried to become his best friend because I was like, "Well, I want to go hang out at your place."
Yeah, I mean, I would shoot a group text immediately right now and say, "Listen, I would love to get out of town right now and hang out." Who are you rooting for? I mean, you just had limited time there, but once you found out who those traitors were, I got to see your reaction, and I think some of it made sense to you, and some of it, like, what was the one that surprised you the most, and who are you rooting for to take this whole thing?
I'm rooting for my friends, or everyone's my friend, but like the people I really liked there. Dylan and I were very close. I'm rooting for Wes. I'm a fan of his, and I'm a fan of the challenge. I'm not rooting for Robin, and I'm not rooting for Bob the drag queen because they came and got me for no reason.
Oh, Robin was after you, and Robin swears on everything that Bob the drag queen is not a traitor, which is so hysterical to have her go so hard. But yeah, she was like, "Get Wells out of here." So I thought that was hysterical in retrospect.
Yeah, that was hurtful too because like I was in the car with her a lot, and so you have a lot of conversations just about life and stuff, and I thought she was like one of my really good friends, and then all of a sudden, listen, if I thought that I did think she was a traitor. I guess I wish someone had come and told me, and said, "Hey, listen, I think," and then I could have defended myself. But yeah, it was funny when the roundtable was happening. I was very, very sure that Robin was a traitor because I had said the thing of like, I think it was dumb that they killed Dorinda because we were all going to banish her the next day. And then she got really defensive and she's like, "I think it was smart." And then I was like, "Are you a traitor and are like getting offended by like my opinion of this thing. So that's why I thought that she was a traitor. But then I remember, kind of like right after the banishment, and I'm like walking out of there, I'm like, the entire thing was Bob the drag queen like holding court. And I'm like, oh, it's obviously. In my mind, I was like, it's Bob the drag queen and Robin. They were in coots to try to get me out.
Speaking of your exit, you started off with the slow clap.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, oh God, we got one. Did they make you come up with your exit speech just in case at the very beginning? Because those are one of my favorite parts, because everybody's there and in anticipation. And I loved your slow clap. Like, when did you come up with the slow clap exit?
I don't know if I came up with it like long beforehand, but I remember thinking that would be very funny.
That's great.
Which, by the way, they cut it down to like only a couple claps. I did it for a while.
Yeah.
Like I did it like
30 minutes of slow claps.
It was like a 90s teen high school movie.
Can't buy me love. Yeah. All right.
I can't hardly wait. I can't remember someone does a slow clap. I'm like, we're not doing that. I thought that would be funny. I was like, well, if I'm not going to be on this TV show, I got to get a little bit of screen time here, and kind of milk it for all it's worth. So I thought of that. I also kind of bowed, which that wasn't really on there, but that was more of me being like, you idiots, what are you doing?
Hey, Peacock, release the Wells cut. We need the Wells cut released.
We do need the Wells cut.
A couple more things. I think you truly are an amazing host, not just on radio and podcasting, but on television. Watching somebody like Alan Cumming work, what is that like to watch in person? Because it is such a performance and such a different, amazing way of hosting in character. As a host yourself, what was that like?
I remember asking production, I was like, how much are you feeding into his in-ear? Or like, is he like completely off book? And they're like, no, he's completely off book, which makes sense. It's so funny because my wife, who's an actress, who has hosted, like she hosted
Love Island,
Love Island, right? And then myself, who's like a radio person who has hosted things. The way that we go about hosting things are completely different. Whereas she can memorize everything, and I can't at all, and I have to parrot someone. I need someone in my ear like parroting me, and I can like.
You're the Marlon Brando of hosting. He used to have somebody parrot somebody. Yeah.
So I asked if Alan was like completely off book, and they're like, yeah, that guy is so good at this, and that blows my mind because I can't remember, what I ate for breakfast this morning, and that guy is just wheeling off these like long monologues in front of us while like being dressed completely amazingly. And he was awesome. I was pumped to meet him. And it was funny because Sarah had done Annie with him, and so when we did like, when you go meet him, he's like, do you want to be a traitor or not? And whatever, that I was like, I don't know. And then that was dumb. I should have been like, I want to be a traitor. But then he's like, I work with your wife. And I was like, I know, and Annie, and then we ended up just talking about that. And I was like, maybe we should talk about the show and
release the Wells cut. I need to see a conversation of you having Annie with Alan Cumming, please. Yeah. Speaking of, we are huge fans of your wife, Sarah Hyland. Has she watched your performance? Was she disappointed in you? What was her reaction of you getting sent home second?
Yeah, she loves me, so she is lying to me.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, it's good that my wife loves me. She loves me very much, so I think she's lying to me. It's funny, I talked to her this morning because she finally watched it because she's doing rehearsals for a Broadway show, and she was like, I don't think you look that bad. Anyways, I got a busy day today. I was like, okay.
Okay, finally, who would you want to see on Traitors next season? If you could cast, you have been around so many reality TV stars in your day, and pop culture is secondhand to you. Who would you be? Who would your dream cast be?
It's funny. I became friends with Johnny Bananas because we did Worst Cooks in America, where I beat him. Not a lot of people have beaten Johnny Bananas in competition shows, but I am one of those people. And we became really good friends. And as someone I've made just so much reality TV with, Bachelor in Paradise and doing like 9 seasons, that when you see someone who's just really innately good at making television, you're kind of in awe of it.
Yeah.
And he is one of those people. And it's funny because I thought that, you know, in that first scene where we meet Alan and you have those like hooded druids all there, and then, you know, one is left and they derobes. I thought for sure it was going to be Bananas. And if it had been, I would have gone and brought him in the game just because I love him so much and I'd want to hang.
Who would you have taken out in that moment?
I don't know. I wish it was Bob the drag queen so that I wouldn't have been freaking banished.
So Johnny Bananas is, you would have him in the game. Anybody else in terms of pop culture?
I don't know. Who's in pop culture right now that would be really, really good? It would be fun. I've always said it would be more. We need actors in it, I think, because the problem that like reality people have is that, you know, you have a sense of who they are, right? The wonderful thing about actors is that like they play different people for a living. Like that's their thing. And so they could come in there and be completely different than from what they really are, and like just stay in character and be very, very good at it. I remember telling my wife, I was like, it's so much fun for you because you could just play a character the entire time and people wouldn't really know, because you're not Haley from Modern Family. You know, you're not Audrey from Little Shop of Horrors. You're this other thing that people don't really know. Whereas people like know me as like the lovable bartender guy. So I think it would be fun to have an actor in there. So I'm going to go with Timothée Chalamet. I think that
if we can get Timothée Chalamet, wow, what a fourth season of That's a great. I was going maybe Flavor Flav, but you go Timothée Chalamet. That's amazing.
Well, listen, I think that Timmy, you know, could really embody being a traitor or being a faithful, you know, and, you know, I think that if we've learned anything, if you're on an Oscar run and you probably will win an Oscar, the next thing you should do is a streaming-based reality show.
This is why we love you. I want to remind people that Wells hosts a podcast called Your Favorite Things every Wednesday. He will hopefully be back on our screens in Bachelor in Paradise and tons of other projects. Dude, I've wanted to talk to you for years, so I'm just so grateful to be able to have the experience. Unfortunately, it's that you got banished from the castle, so hopefully I get to talk to you again someday. But you guys, the Traitors, every Thursday, catch up now. This dude's awesome, and hopefully I'll get to talk to you again someday, man.
Dude, just text me anytime you want to hang out. I'm ready, Ryan. Let's do it.
Okay, I got a new friend. Yes.